If he scores here, he puts his team in a very comfortable position. Our Lapras has had good level of awareness to go and score in this bottom goal zone, which is really, really good play. So the only way we can win this game is by getting a small amount of scoring. In this gameplay, you can see the most advantageous thing about using a tank is the fact that your team has got a tank, right? You're going to notice a lot of time in your solo queue lobbies, your enemy team will not actually be using a tank. Or if they do use a tank, they're not using it as a traditional tank. So you're not getting the real value, right? And what I mean is traditional is that they use slow bro, but they try and carry with it, right? So they take the experience share off and all that stuff. They're throwing a lot of value in the air. The most value you're going to be getting is just the fact that you're using a tank itself. Now, unfortunately, in this game, Dragapult's been a little bit slow to get down here, so that slows down our clear a little bit and maybe puts our contested Ordino at 9 minutes 45, which is spawned right now, at risk. So you can see the enemy team, they've got pretty fast clear with the Masquerada, so they're almost there, and we are like still just touching these bunnies here. Now, again, we've got experience share, so I'm actually not concerned. Although my build is stacking with the AOS cookie, I'm not interested in just like running for stacks, okay? You're holding an experience share. You need to be getting your stacks in when they are free, right? And you will get stacks in when they're free, right? At some point, okay? You're not looking to secure all that farm, okay? This right here is maybe a little bit of a misplay. I should have realized that Masquerades go really quick clear, but I do that just to try and push them out of position so we can take this contested piece of farm a little bit easier, right? Now, unfortunately, their Masquerade actually goes in there and gets that piece of farm, which is really bad for our team because that means that their team has got most of this contested farm, so they're definitely ahead, right? They've got like 3.5 there and 4 and a bit. And they've actually gotten most of the farm, and we're almost like we're halfway to level, so we're actually almost the same level as their Trooper there. And our Dragapult is, he's a little bit behind. Keep in mind, they've had 2 additional Ordinos over our team, right? So the experience share is very, very helpful at maintaining those levels, even when, you don't do so well. Now, this is fairly normal. Your team you will not be level 4, right? If you're holding the EXP share and you haven't got some of that contested farm, or you haven't scored, right? So, but generally you're just looking to farm. You're going to get your score after this initial kind of Bs here, right? And that, if all goes well, assuming, right? So our jungler's come down, he's played very aggressively on the 3v2, pushes him back. We could be diving on this Hooper here, but we get more value if we just score the 14-15 and stop mucking around. Because if the Hooper plays well and kites back and we don't take that chance to score, then we might blow that, right? So we take the chance to get some score in there. Sizzle gets his in, so that's a lot of score on that bottom pad. And the score is valuable not because, we get a score lead, but also the fact that we are now going to get some additional experience there, okay? Now, the moveset that I like to use is Foul Play and Snuff. Now, traditionally, Mean Look is the better move, in my opinion, right? It is the better move. When you see competitive play, most of the time you're going to see Mean Look. However, in solo queue, I think you need that additional mobility, right? You need to be getting yourself out of bad positions. Like, if you try and engage on the enemy and your team doesn't follow up, right, you're in a bad position. Okay, and you can see the Masquerada actually missed the secure there because he uses skill to try and do damage to the farm. Now, I'm actually 4 seconds late to this mid-farm, which is, that's not great. Like I always say, be there on time. Generally, your tank wants to stay bottom, and your other player, like your mage, would go into support here, right? But because it's solo queue, like it's like every man for themselves. Okay, it's this is a lot of farm to be getting that additional experience from the experience share. Now, it's that funny time between the 8 minutes and the like the 8-minute Bs and the 7-minute 20 Bs. So at this stage, I've actually opted to go top. And the reason I've done that is because I've seen that their Hooper's kind of overcommitting, so he's probably going to reverse and go back down to the bottom lane. Their Decidueye is actually quite low in health, and the Decidueye is very squishy, and I actually don't want him getting too far ahead in that top lane. So my aim here is to go up here and try and get a kill on that Decidueye, and if we can, we get some score, otherwise we back out. Because if we get the kill on Decidueye, we're going to be in a 3v1 situation. So that's what I'm going for here, right? So we've got the Snarl that we can get the big stuns on, and we've got the mobility with the Foul Play to do some additional stuns. I noticed that, they don't have the berries there, and they're in a bit of a tricky position, and the Decidueye gets himself caught, so we quickly engage there, but the Hooper's actually got fantastic awareness. He ports his Absol up to help support this lane because he doesn't want it getting destroyed too soon, and so I make my way out with an eject and a Foul Play. and now I'm in a bit of a 1v3 situation here because our Lapras is being forced out of the top lane by their Zacian, right? So I'm actually fortunate enough I can get the stun from the Snarl, which is probably the best thing about Snarl, is that the stunning is very, very valuable, right? You can stun yourself from getting smashed by skills, which is really, really good. And then you can see the mobility of foul play is really nice here, right? I'm actually able to get that Zacian. So here we're like 7.5 because we got a good chunk of experience by killing that Zacian, right? Kills give you a good chunk of experience. At this stage, this is where the game can get a little bit chaotic, right? And a little bit like, yes, I should be in the bottom lane, and you know it's still on 80 and things looking good. But I see that our jungler's down there, and their jungler's still in the top lane, right? They've actually still got quite a lot of resource in the top lane, and their Decidueye is trying to take a buff to probably get Decidueye to get online, which is, you know, probably not a bad play there, right? So all I'm doing here is I'm just trying to put some pressure on this Absol. I'm trying to waste this time because this is what I figure. We've got a Lapras that is, I'm assuming, going to be making his way down to the bottom lane. We've got a jungler and we've got a Dragapult. They could, and like they have got levels over these guys. The Dragapult can probably just start ripping, and the Sizzle could probably just 1v2 these guys here, and they'd get the secure fairly easily, right? Hit damage, and then the Dragapult could just dive onto the Masquerada, and they'd be able to win that fight, right? Assuming that this Decidueye doesn't do much funny, the Lapras could come down and support, and they'd definitely win that fight, right? They've got the levels there. So I'm kind of taking this as an opportunity to stall the time of this Absol so he doesn't just go down there and smash them, right? And the moment that I realize that this Absol's not in this top lane anymore, I would be going straight down to this bottom lane. So all I'm doing is just pestering, right? And so now I can see that there's 3 people up in this top lane. So all I'm looking to do is waste time, right? Because all I'm figuring is, hey, we've got an auto attacker who could be doing this objective, and unfortunately for us, our team actually opts to not do the objective, which will happen in SoloQ, right? That is the nature of what happens, right? So we're holding a 3v2, and the Zacian gets the kill on me, right? Unfortunate because he's got that enhanced skill and everything, so he's done pretty well. Our Pikachu's got level 9, so he'll be able to hold the fort there, right? So the first 3 minutes actually pretty scrappy. So at this point, I've given up on top. I'm like, all right, we're going to go bottom and we're going to get the value in the bottom lane because I'm assuming that's exactly what the Absol would do, right? And you can see that's pretty much what happens there. So the Absol comes down, pops his Unite move, and our Lapras gets a good CC on him and he just gets away because if I got that combo off on that Absol, he's in a lot of trouble, right? So at this stage, I'm kind of getting a feel for who's down here, getting that extra stack in when I can, right? You can see the free stacks are going to be able to come in. The Hoop is coming down, and their team's honestly looking like they're in a decent spot here if we keep just mucking around. So I'm looking at this going, all right, well, I can't just rip on my own. I'm gonna have to wait for my team to help me engage. It looks like they want to fight, so you kind of just have to play with your team there, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to tank as much damage as I possibly can, and our team want to break the goal zone there, which is totally fine. They want us to get those Bs, which is cool. And then now at this stage, we've got this objective in the bag. So our team's played that, decently. It's slower than normal, but, at least it's done, right? Now at this stage, it's completely unnecessary for 4 people to be doing this objective. So it's SoloQ. I'm probably, I dare I say I'm probably the only one I'm guessing at this stage with the awareness to say, hey, maybe I should go to the top lane, or maybe I should start hitting these Bs. So when my team comes and rotates through this middle, they can get this experience very quickly, and then we can continue to rotate to the top lane. So that's exactly what I do at that stage. I just do a quick U-turn, and I decide to run to the top lane, right? Because I'm getting the passive healing with that ability. We've got the Regirock, which is great, and then I start hitting these Bs. And so all's going well, all's going to plan, and unfortunately they kind of taxi it away into the top lane. They don't quite get to the objective in time, and you can see I'm kind of just standing here like, all right, well that, it feels silly to just leave this Altaria here by itself. Level 10's a decent power spike for me, so I'll just take that. By the looks of it, I don't really agree with that play of going into a 2v5, so that's what our team decided to do, and I'm not necessarily going to get in and amongst that in a quick hurry, right? I noticed that they actually stay alive for quite a bit longer, so I go on with the Unite because it's got quite a short cooldown, and then I escape, right? Because you got the mobility with the eject button and the foul play, right? The reason I also did that is because their team was in a position to actually walk in this Regieleki. They had the resources, they had some big Unite moves, and our team was respawning, right? So if we didn't get a stall in there, their team could have done some pretty scary stuff. Now, kind of floating around here, and at this stage, I'm just trying not to get picked off. I dove in. That's probably a silly dive in from me there. I probably should not have done that. And then I don't even know why I turned around and hit that Masquerade. I should just kept running, because if he kept running towards me, our team cleans him up. So that's probably a bit of a misplay from my end there. But, you know, that's okay. That's what happens, right? And unfortunately, no one was warding our bot tower, so they get a 50 score in there. But the trade-off is that they're now weaker in this top lane, so hopefully we're getting quite a bit of score here. We get a 40, and then we get a 4, and then we get a 26, so they do an exact break, which is okay, and then they get the kill, right? Meanwhile, we're just holding the fort against this Zacian down at the bottom lane. We're trying to, you know, force him away, and it's this 4-minute mark, so it's, you know, it's a little bit weird, right? There's no objectives up because both the objectives got done so late. This bottom objective's coming up in a moment. And I'm just sitting here to provide some vision, but I'm also just looking to get out straight away, right? We've still got this bottom tower, like a minute 30 to the Rayquaza, and honestly, it's probably in our team's best interest to keep this tower here. This bottom objective is far more important than this top objective at this stage, right? There's no tier 1, no tier 1, so this top lane, in my opinion, it's just Farmville. It's a bit dead, right? You got our farm there, they've got their farm back there. They're the Decidueyes. I don't really know what he's looking to do, but at this stage, all I'm looking to do is just float around, get vision, see if the enemy team's coming down here, because that's one big thing that you probably should be doing as a tank, is looking to give your team as much vision as possible, and looking to engage when you know that your team's able to come back. So I dive into this bush. I actually get a bit scared, because Zacian's coming out of that bush with a Unite move, which is pretty scary. That move does quite a lot of damage. And I noticed the Hooper pops his ult pretty late. I actually didn't realize how late it was, because I just figured if the Hooper's popping his ult, I'll have time to pop my ult. Good thing that Umbreon gets his Unite back relatively quickly. That probably wasn't the greatest play. Unfortunately, their Masquerade does get the kill on me. And I just want to take a moment to kind of watch this objective here while that I'm dead. Right, you can see the Pikachu's hitting this Regirock, right? And he's fairly low, so the Regirock's probably going to kill him, right? Now, at this stage, our team's got this top objective. All we really need to do is maybe look to farm, look to get our Unite moves. Like, no one's got their Unite moves, right? Now, I'm going to have to mow up a couple of these small Baltoys to get my Unite move back, although it's relatively quick. And our Pikachu, you notice here, right? He's half killed this Regirock, but there's a concept called leashing an objective. And see how if you push this Regirock like just about to this wall here, and yeah, so it hits this wall. Now when it walks back, it's going to regen in health. So in other words, the Pikachu's just wasted his time down in this bottom lane, right? He might as well have just been sitting in a bush, because now when this Regirock goes back, it's going to heal all the damage that Pikachu just did. So guys, you got to be a little bit careful when you're doing an objective to make sure that you're probably not doing that, right? Now, we're in a decent spot here. Our team's looking like they're definitely going to take that objective. I'm just looking to take a couple of these small Baltoys to hit level 12 and to get that Unite move back very quickly. I think our Pikachu's got a similar idea. He's looking to take an Ordino, which is great. And so it looks like our team is looking to position here, right? We are a little bit late to this Ray fight, and it's a close battle, even though we've got this bottom goal zone. Now, this is where you say you might think we're ahead. You'd assume that we're ahead because we have this bottom goal zone here. The enemy team has scored 40 goals in here, and if you remember, we got a 0 overcap in this top goal. So this is the concept of overcapping. Like, if we have an overcap by 10, we get an extra 10 points, we'd be in the lead. Now we're actually behind by 6 points. And so I was actually a little bit aware of that because I panned over and I saw that we actually got a 0 overcap in the top lane. The enemy team has got pretty passive positioning, and this is the issue when you don't have a tank. Who on the enemy team is going to be moving forward and providing vision for their team? They've got a level 9 Hooper, and this is because the Hooper's playing without an EXP share. He'd be almost level 11 if he had an experience share, but he's been starved, right? They've got a level 14 Absol who's probably looking to carry the game. And yeah, like the Decidueye is playing very back, the Masquerade is playing very passively. He'll probably just run in and try and tickle someone. And yeah, so our team, like, you can see, like, no one's got a Unite move here. It's Dragapult, Absol, and Decidueye. Like, everyone must be relatively close. So it's a bit of a slow fight here. And my job as the tank is I'm looking to provide vision. And this is where I've got to be a little bit careful. I want to dive on him, that Decidueye. That's fine. I want to dive on him. That's fine. The Masquerade. I don't want to dive on the Zacian. I will get absolutely smashed. If I snarl on the Zacian and he just Sacred Swords me, that Sacred Sword doesn't care about your snarl. The damage is going to happen. And the Absol, I probably would like to dive on him as well. So I'm knowing my matchup and saying, hey, the only Pokemon that I'm probably actively trying to avoid is the Zacian, right? I want to give vision for my team and let them know where the Zacian is, but I don't want to hard engage. So our team's actually caught out the enemy Masquerada, which is pretty good. And I've recognized that, and I see the Zacian. So straight away, and this, you've got to be very quick with your thinking here, guys. I'm looking at this going, yeah, I'm out, right? I'm taking no extra damage than I need to. They get the resets, which is cool, and we're in a 4v5 position here, which means we can take this fight super aggressively. Okay, you can see our team's on their side of the map. Our Sizzle looks to take a big fight there, and if you're the enemy team, what do? Like, he's looking to disengage. It's a close battle, so we don't actually know who's in the lead. He is way back, this Decidueye. The Zacian's running away. Absol, in my opinion, has made the most correct move here. He's got vision on pretty much all of us, and he's gone, all right, I'm going to score. Not only does he make the decision to not score in the bottom tier 1, he scores in the tier 2, and I'll explain why this is such a good play. Because at this stage, this swings the refight. Like, a fight's already broken out. If he scores here, he puts his team in a very comfortable position, where now our team has to re-engage or do something at the rate, or we have to try and counter the scoring, which is not looking too great for us because, well, it actually looks like it's pretty well defended. And in addition to that, if the enemy team needs to get some extra score, they can just bombard our tier 1, and it's a lot easier to score on a tier 1 late game than a tier 2. So that's actually a really good play from the Absol, right? It's actually great awareness from him. And so I'm kind of just sitting in this bush. We're playing super aggressively. Now their Masquerada's back. I notice the Zacian. I run away from him. We pick up the Masquerada again. We get the big Unite move off. And now I'm just looking to dive on the Decidueye. I'm looking to try and get as much damage off here as possible. And yeah, it's looking okay for us, right? We're two kills there. We've taken 1 death. I almost get picked up by this Absol. And at this stage, this is super tricky, right? Because their team's defending top well. Our Lapras has had good level of awareness to go and score in this bottom goal zone, which is really, really good play. This stage, I have to survive. As the tank, if they recognize that tank has gone down and someone who can do a lot of damage, they can just completely steamroll our team from here. So I've just tried to run away, and I actually dive in this bush and just base straight away, right? Fortunately, our Sizzle has actually played this really, really well, and he's forced it back. And now we've scored 100 for 100. So technically this game is still close battle. And this is why you need to be agilely thinking on your feet, right? So I've based, and you can see exactly what I've done here. All I've done here, I recognize that our team has no business, no one's going to rip this Rayquaza. So the only way we can win this game is by getting a small amount of scoring. So I don't want to pick up any more money. I've got 20, that's plenty to win the game here. All I do is I ping. You'll see it on the map. I ping my Dragapult to defend the bottom goal zone. Right, I ping. I say, hey, make sure you're defending that bottom goal zone. Our team is doing a great job at forcing the enemy to come up here. They're putting a lot of pressure on the enemy team. So they're going to be panicking to jump top, right? I recognize this and I run straight to their main base, and I'm so lucky I just get a 20 scoring. If I had 21, I don't reckon I score that, right? And so that 20 score actually ends up winning our team the game, because there's no way the enemy team can now secure this objective. So you can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to run to a goal zone. Our Dragapult, for whatever reason, actually leaves this base, so he could have actually thrown the game pretty bad. And our Sizzle makes a really good call to defend this pad here. So if their team actually had the level of awareness, like if their Masquerada had have sprinted there, I think they ran out of time though, even a small score would have won them the game. So super close there, guys. And you can see when you're playing this Umbreon, you've got to be quick thinking on your feet. So as you can see, when you have a look at the battle data here, right, you want to be getting assists when you're using a tank. Generally, you're not necessarily securing the kills. You're helping your team get the kills if you're playing this optimally, and you want to be tanking the most damage, right? You're not really looking to carry. You're not looking to do a whole lot of damage output. You're just looking to tank a whole lot of damage from the enemy team moving around.